We are now approaching Marvel Studios' 30th film, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. It's time to talk about it. Let's go! What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Klepcx FM, brought to you by CritiX.com, a place where we talk about movies, television, and pop culture. If you're into that kind of thing, make sure you hit that subscribe key and that notification bell so you can be up to speed about everything that I talk about here. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are vastly approaching a massive weekend for moviegoers in the movie theaters. Yes, Marvel Studios is releasing their 30th film, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which is the follow-up to the 2018 Black Panther, directed by Ryan Coogler, originally starring the late Chadwick Boseman. And I had the opportunity to check it out, not in any old kind of fashion, thanks to Showcase Cinemas, National Amusement Showcase Cinemas. I saw a double feature where I got to watch both films, the original 2018 and the new 2022 Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, back to back. So shout out to them for the cool things. You know, I got the limited edition stuff. I got the tin. I got the little holographic cup, which is dope as hell. So shout out to them for inviting me out with some friends, and we got to experience this thing. But before, good fashion, before we talk about excuse me, what I thought about the film, let's talk a little bit about what it is. Black Panther is a comic book character from the 1960s, one of the first black superheroes in the Marvel Universe, who was introduced in Civil War, Captain America film, and then spawned off into his own solo film, 2018. And then just before reappearing in Avengers Infinity War and briefly showing up in Avengers Endgame. Now, because of, after all of these films, we tragically lost the star Chadwick Boseman as he was battling cancer unbeknown to the rest of the world, outside of his close ones, his family. And it was a tragic loss. So there was a time when we didn't know what was going to happen with this film. We were wondering, if it did come, when it came, how were they going to tell the story, how they were going to break this thing, down and keep it going forward, for future MCU films, and more or less the legacy of the character T'Challa, aka the Black Panther. So now we are in 2022. The film is done. It's out. People have seen it. People have their opinions, but I have not given my opinion. So I am here to share with you all my first initial reactions and a spoiler-free review of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I really think that this film is exactly what you're hearing if you have heard anything. It's emotional. It is holding a very, very heavy tone and emotion. This film feels exactly the way it felt when we found out about Chadwick, when he passed away in 2020. It holds nothing back as far as that, and it immediately rips the Band-Aid off right from jump. People were wondering, well, how are they going to incorporate this into the story? How are they going to make this movie without Chadwick, without the character T'Challa? Well, Ryan Coogler and the team, they waste no time immediately removing the Band-Aid. They rip it right off going into this film, and you get your answers, cut and dry, and then the film moves forth, and it is essentially, as everyone is saying, about loss and about grief and about acceptance and about moving forward. The story, the overall story of this film is written beautifully. It is a well-written script, a well-written story, a well-directed movie, well-directed film. Outside of that, the MCU stuff, the Marvel stuff, the superhero stuff, is a little bit of a mess for me. Not in a bad way, just in an uncomfortable way, because it's hard to notice that something is missing from this film. You get that immediately, I say 20 minutes after the cold open. You're just like, yeah, I mean, I get where the story's supposed to go, and I know who we're supposed to be following, and where where our attention is supposed to be. But you just get a sense that there's just something missing. And not saying that, not only saying that it's Chadwick that we're missing, it's just something is missing. It's just, it feels hollow in a lot of places. A lot of folks were complaining about the length of this film. I honestly feel like the length of this film is perfect for me. I feel like it takes its time to allow you to adjust to the things that we are missing, or the people that we're missing, and also adjust with the things that are new in the story. So I don't think that the length is as a problem at all. I think that it is long enough for what the story needed. For me, anyways, like, I didn't feel bored at any point. I didn't feel like it dragged at any point. I found myself really engaged in not feeling like there were any plot holes, like there was anything rushed, like there was anything. I feel like if this thing was any shorter, we probably would have felt a little bit cheated. So it's like a grieving process. Like, you're kind of watching this movie and learning to accept the fact that our star is no longer there, and it gives you that time to kind of readjust with all the new that's going around. It feels like a totally different movie, guys and girls. It doesn't feel like, and this is for me watching both back to back. You watch the first one and it really feels like a celebration of the character T'Challa. Like, this is his first coming, and it's a superhero movie, and it's grand, and it's fun, it's stylish, it's musical, and then you get to the second one, and even the score doesn't really work for me. It just feels like we're walking slow pace. We're dragging our feet, trying to figure out how to feel. And I don't know if that was on purpose, if that's the tone that Coogler was going for, but that's essentially what I got from this, because you're alongside Shuri for the ride during this whole film, because she's essentially the one that's grieving the most. Everyone else is kind of have moved forward in a sense, with acceptance and understanding, that, what T'Challa said in the first one, that in their culture, death isn't the end. But Shuri is struggling with that a lot throughout this film. A couple of things that I'm not too keen about, that I did not feel, and it's weird because this was the most exciting thing that I was hoping for in this film. I was waiting and excited to see Riri Williams Ironheart in this film. And when I saw her and what we got, I honestly, I don't want to say this, but it's the truth. I honestly felt like we could have did without her. We know that she has her own solo show coming up, but having her there kind of doesn't feel forced. It just feels unnecessary. It could have been given any cameo, it could have been any character for the amount of time and the amount of what she did. Could have been any Marvel character cameo for the fan service. She fit the narrative for certain things that they needed, but immediately when they reference her, you know exactly what they're talking about, and I could have did with or without. It was cool to see her, but it wasn't as cool as I hoped it would be, because I really was looking forward to that character. But I feel like the things that they do with her were kind of I could have, whatever. It's whatever. She was there. I hope that the show turns things around for me. I can't wait to see the show, but I hope they lean a little more closely to the source material a little bit with her. But from what I've saw so far in this, it kind of feels like things were kind of rushed in her origin. To fit the narrative of Wakanda Forever. A great thing that I love about this film, of course, everyone's praising Namor. He is literally the best thing in this movie for me. I think he's a great villain and a great addition to the MCU. He is kick-ass throughout this entire film. Very badass. Like, every time he's on screen, I'm like, I'm in it. I'm like, yo, Namor is here. Probably the best part of this movie for me overall. Like, trumps everything else that's going on in this movie is when Namor is on the screen, and even the scenes with him and Shuri are pretty dope. It's just when he's on the screen, it's just magic. This film at sometimes feels like a Namor origin. That's how much Namor you get. It literally feels like it's just a setup for that essential character, or like they knew he was the strongest part of this film, so a bulk of it is all around him. But it plays great leading into, the third act. The third act feels a little bit rushed. We get to the climax, the big battle, and some of it feels a little, okay, now we gotta check the boxes. We gotta check the boxes. Kind of feels like that a little bit, but it's still fulfilling. You still get everything that you expected to get as the film wraps up to a close. It does end a bit abruptly, but in a way where the whole film is just a big metaphor for grievance and moving on and acceptance, and literally all the way to the end, it's kind of like that. It's like a big relief moment or a breath of fresh air. You're kind of on that ride. Like, talk about tone and the way it's shot. I want people to kind of go into this looking for a story to be told, not essentially a Marvel movie that needs to check boxes until it gets to the climax, but essentially just go in to see what Ryan Coogler had to work with and what he was able to do, because that's the magic of this film. The magic of this movie is like, what does a director do when he's got the biggest blockbuster ever with the biggest star and it's nominated for Best Picture, and then in a blink of an eye it's gone, and he has to pick up the pieces and recreate that magic and catch lightning in a bottle once again, and he puts his best foot forward, and he still delivers a really awesome movie, a really awesome motion picture. Did it blow me away? No, does not blow me away. But it was great to see what he was able to do with what he had, those characters, those key players who are just as strong. Angela Bassett is a queen in her own right, and she knocks it out the park. Phenomenal. Very touching moments in this film. But the overall, the best standout thing about this movie for me is the story being told and how it was written and how it picks up from where it left us to where we are today. No plot holes, that's not believable. Nah, it really just, it's touching, it's warm. There are some things that I would have changed, or not changed, but like different directions I would have went as far as the ending. One post-credit scene, by the way, and although it's rewarding, it's still wasn't. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. More of a character thing than a story decision thing. Story decision wise, it's cool. Who it is, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't want to give away too much, but you guys will eventually see it when you see it. Overall, my overall thoughts of this film, Wakanda Forever is a solid movie. Didn't blow me away. The characters are all there. They showed up to play. They showed up to do their thing. It's a big masterpiece in the name of Chadwick Boseman. They are really holding him up on the mantle this time around, and really showing respect and paying respect to the character and the actor in a beautiful way. I think that it deserves its praises for the fact that this is how they came back after everything they've all been through. But other than that, I'm going to leave it where it is. And it doesn't really do much for the rest of the MCU, like a lot of people are probably hoping or thinking. Riri Williams, we already know she has a show coming out, so it's cool to see her. But it wasn't, her performance didn't make or break my expectations for her show. I was just, she was there, and then that was out. There's some other cool cameos though, by the way. Character that I did not expect to see shows up in this movie, and it's pretty awkward. Some of the stuff, but other than that, guys, girls, let me know how excited you are to see Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. If you have seen it, what you thought. Am I on par? Am I not? Am I not saying the right things? Let me know. Let's talk about it. Drop your comments below. Are you excited to see it? Are you going to be seeing it this weekend? Or are you going to wait for the crowds to come through? Because I'm hearing this thing's going to do big numbers. I think it will do big numbers initially. I don't know how people are going to receive this movie because it might not. It just feels different. Not in a bad way, not in a good way. Just feels different. It's all going to be up to you to interpret how you feel about this movie. I can't tell you because I walked out still a little like empty. Like, damn. I wonder what the original script was like. Yeah, so guys, girls, like, comment, share. Make sure you subscribe. And for more movie news, television news, and pop culture, make sure you check out wearecritics.com. And I will talk to you all later.